Hey, it's Ryan Seacrest. Life comes at you fast, which is why it's important to find some time to relax. A little you time. Enter Chumba Casino. With no download required, you can jump on anytime, anywhere for the chance to redeem some serious prizes. So treat yourself with Chumba Casino and play over 100 online casino-style games, all for free. Go to ChumbaCasino.com to collect your free welcome bonus. Sponsored by Chumba Casino.
No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 21 plus. Terms and conditions apply.
The following podcast is brought to you exclusively by the Rad Rob Radio Network.
This is PBA champion Kyle Troop, and you're listening to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. As you know, JP Jr. used to be introduced as the sexiest man in bowling, and now the world. But he doesn't have the best hair in the world. I do. Sorry, bud, but you know the deal. Pick it out. Fear the fro, baby.
Welcome to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. A hard-hitting, in-depth, cutting-edge look into the world of bowling. This podcast will not only cover all things bowling, but will also give you a raw look into real-life issues. You'll get unfettered access into the mind of one of the most gifted bowlers of this or any other generation. So without further ado, let's introduce you to the hosts of the show. Rad Rob, Rob Francois. Rad Rob, Rob Francois. Dr Ocho. Dr Ocho. And the incomparable Johnny Petraglia Jr. Johnny Petraglia Jr.
Hey guys, welcome back to Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. I am your host, Rad Rob, Rob Francois. This is episode number 79. Hang on a second. Is he doing this again? Joining me is the second member of the team, who has the smallest member on the team. Live from his pool in South Ochoville, it is the one and only Dr. Ocho. 2 weeks in a row, you're into... Wait. Dude, I thought I had some neck fat. What's going on?
I didn't shave today, Rob, so it's kind of a big deal, but give me a sec. You get on to JP and I'll figure this out.
Okay. You do that. Your guns are backwards, too.
What?
It's very weird. Also joining us is the third member of the team. He is the man with the name on the marquee. He is number 07 in your programs, number 1 in your hearts. The sexiest man in the world, Mr. Johnny Petraglia Jr. Good evening, JP.
Whatever he's doing, I wish I was there with him. He looks like so much fun.
You look better now. I don't know what you did, but is your camera or something? I don't know what you did.
It's always a good time when Ocho's around. Why else are we doing the show? Because of Ocho, damn it.
It is true. Good evening, Sherry. Good evening, Mark Feiner. Hello, Jeff Cox. Mr. Big Jeff Cox. So, Johnny, you've been following this draft quite intently, just as Ocho was.
I closed my door, so there's no more draft.
We're going to get into the results, but before we do, was there anything in particular that shocked you?
That shocked me. No, I wouldn't say anything really shocked. Actually, okay, you know what? Something did shock me a little bit. I'm pulling up the site just to kind of refresh myself with just keep it on hand. But
that's a lot to memorize.
It's gonna be yeah, thanks. It's gonna be strange seeing a PBA league without Walter Ray and Pete Weber. I did kind of accept the fact that this was coming at some point. They're both getting up there in age now, and
I called it, by the way.
You did call it, and kudos to you on that one. So obviously, I did know that one of those guys wasn't going to be there from a little bit of a pre-insider info, but so did that bowler. So it's not like it came as any surprise that he wasn't saved, but I think it was kind of a surprise that he wasn't picked up by somebody else. Same thing with Pete.
I'm not sure that shouldn't be a bigger deal. I mean, I think that's a huge deal. Like maybe you'd expect it, but would the even the common fan expect it, being that they're such mainstays?
Well, yeah, and they're mainstays that everybody is still interested in seeing bowl.
True, they're still a number, man.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it was very, very. I think you hit the nail on the head there. But it just kind of, I guess, goes to show like age definitely does play a little bit here. Not even aside from the talent, because both Pete and Walter obviously possess the talent to keep competing at a high level, especially in a format like that where you don't have to throw many shots.
Right.
But I think that the new wave, like we forget that the new wave of young guys like Prather, Troop, the Tang brothers, Simo, those guys are already like 6-7 years. They're already tour veterans now.
Yeah.
They're not even the young guys anymore. I mean, Packy comes out, wins 2 titles this year. I mean, now we got Matt Ogle hitting his stride, but now the next youth movement is already upon us. The pace of fantastic players is rapidly happening so quickly that it's kind of hard to leave those guys out as well. You know what I mean?
That is very true. Dave Pical, Ian Lang, Charlie Tapp, PBA legend in the house. Good evening, gentlemen. We're going to get into the results. No, I completely agree with you, Johnny. I was just joking last week when I'm like, Pete's old as fuck. I was just trying to crack jokes, but but I didn't really think that he was going to get kicked out. I feel bad now.
I don't think many people did. On the flip side, it was nice to see certain people that I think like everybody always talks about who got overlooked when it comes to the draft. And obviously we know that there's little things that each manager is going to lean towards when it comes to this because the selection is so few. But what I did find out was, and I'm very, very happy to find out that he is bowling and was selected by a team, is Thomas Larson. So Thomas Larson is one of the guys that was not saved by my dad and the Waco Wonders. And anybody that knows my dad knows that putting my dad in a position where he has to even dance with the fact of upsetting somebody or hurting somebody's feelings is like the worst fucking possible
that destroys this guy.
And my dad will literally try and figure out like the kindest, gentlest, most factual way to tell somebody something that he doesn't want to because he's forced to, right?
Remember that episode of Cheers when Norm had to fire people and he kept crying because he'd feel so bad? And he'd be like,
I'll watch it tonight. I was never a big Cheers guy.
That's
even though I like going where everybody knows my name. I'm a little bit younger than it.
But no, I get it. That's literally right up your alley. You trust me, I would never steer you wrong. You know me. So,
I see myself as Ted Danson in that show. You're
Mayday Malone, man. And he was
away
so
in the world today.
Everything you've got.
Oh, I obviously know the song.
He would get upset that the people who were fired were like, "No, it's okay, man. I'll move on." And they're like, "Are you sure? Are you sure?" Great writing. Anyways.
Yes.
Anyways. But I liked it. Thank you for throwing it in there. The thing I wanted to say, going off the story about Thomas Larson, is I didn't know, and I'm not sure a lot of people did know, but the reason Thomas didn't bowl on tour this year or wasn't out there as much as he wanted to be was his wife is pregnant, and apparently they've been dealing with some complications. So I wanted to personally, I'm sure you guys as well, extend like thoughts and prayers to his entire family, and also say that it's absolutely awesome that he was one of the guys taken, because I was not knowing about the personal stuff. I didn't know that he wasn't bowling for Family Matters. And that was obviously the number one thing. Like if it wasn't for Family Matters and he wasn't bowling, he doesn't deserve a spot on PBA team. But for circumstances such as that, it was nice to see another team pick up on that and add him to their roster.
And something that only so few people could even, understand. People say, "Oh, I understand." No, you don't. You don't fucking understand that.
Exactly. I don't understand, and I understand as much as I can understand.
Exactly. You can appreciate and be, but no way could you. You won't even insult the guy.
Right. Yes. Yes. TDP. He is shirtless. He's also swimming.
She's a team player. Well, let's break it down, Johnny. Let's
go ahead.
Let's get into the we'll just roll with the first team. Hopefully you can see these pictures, Johnny. I
can.
That's fantastic. The NYC Kingpins. Let me get rid of this.
That's a clever name.
It is. Led by Carolyn Dorn-Ballard, who has graced our chat here a few weeks ago.
Yep.
She leads a team of Marshall Kent, Darren Tang, Kyle Sherman, Packy Hanrahan, and Michael Tang. So I don't have the original team in front of me, Johnny. Who has dropped?
Well, I can't tell you right now. I could tell you Marshall Kent, Kyle Sherman, and Darren Tang were the 3 saves.
Okay.
So Pete Weber was always a kingpin. He was not kept. Let's see if I can find that for you while I'm scrolling here. I'm sure I can.
Scrolling.
Wow.
Me and Ocho
are on point there.
Yep.
Actually, I was going with Rolling by Limp Bizkit.
Keep scrolling.
Yeah.
That's too much scrolling. I don't want to waste all the time.
Okay,
but I'm just going to give you the 2 selections were Packy Hanrahan, who went first overall because the kingpin selected first. And Michael Tang was the second addition to the team. So Marshall Kent, Darren Tang, and Kyle Sherman were the 3 saves. Remember, last year Kyle Sherman was replaced by Matt Sanders due to injury. Yep. So Kyle, rightfully so, earned his spot back there.
How do you feel about this
overall,
team, Johnny? I was going to say, well, how do you feel about this team?
Well, I think you can't. First off, it's a very, very, very young unit. This is a young, studded unit. Kyle Sherman coming off the show at the Masters. What a performance this year for him. His hip is feeling better. Marshall Kent, we obviously love and adore. He's one of the best talents the tour's ever seen. And again, these are all great college players. Now you add into the mix the brother duo of Darren and Michael Tang. I mean, those guys are not only used to bowling everything together from probably youth bowling up until the present, but they've bowled successfully in PBA doubles events, PBA regionals. And obviously, every team needs a left-hander, and why not take overall number 1 selection, 2-time titleist this year, coming off his best PBA season, Packy Hanrahan.
I agree.
So overall, I think this team will have a ton of chemistry. A lot of these guys are involved in the house. They room together week to week. They know each other's tendencies, obviously, and this is a very well-comprised team. It's a youthful, fiery team with a lot of power and the ability to play the lanes in a lot of different ways. So, and the Kingpins are always strong every single year. And with a manager like CDB, can't really go wrong
JP, real
with this
quick,
one.
explain the advantage of, like you said, they're in the house bowling, so they know their tendencies, they know their game. It's almost like having another caddy right there with you. Like, that's got to be almost invaluable info.
Yeah, I mean, for the guys that are out on tour, one of the things that, guys deal with is, do I want to room alone or do I want to travel with a roommate? And anybody that's ever roomed with somebody, you can room with somebody here and there, but typically if you're going to room with somebody for more than a week or 2, you want to be rooming with somebody you're comfortable rooming with. So every week there's a batch of like 8 to 10 guys that will Airbnb out a large house to stay in together. And that's like, it's almost like, I guess, the Lost Boys and Peter Pan. They are such a tight-knit unit. They understand each other so well, who does what at what times, who needs what spaces to do this. And whenever you have a relationship like that off of the lanes, it's usually a lot easier to offer constructive criticism on the lanes.
Without offending somebody. That's right.
Exactly. Like Ocho, you and I we're weightlifters. If you constantly go to the gym at the same time and you see the same kid that's there trying to get to where you're at, and you can like see him going out of his way, he wants to give you a fist bump when you go by, because eventually you guys will form a relationship that one day you're in there, you'll go up to the kid and say, asshole, if you want your biceps to grow, you have to make sure that it's time under tension. Stop fucking shaking your shoulders.
Stop whipping the weight from the ground up. And I get you.
Right. It's a lot easier to say that to somebody you've formed some kind of a relationship with. Whereas if you just randomly walked up to some guy in the gym and said, asshole, if you ever want to grow, you can't do them like that. He'll say, who the fuck are you with your mask?
Get away from me with that creepy mask. I'm calling the cops. Put your pants on.
So but like we said, having that relationship off the lanes is definitely going to attribute to their success on the lanes. I like their option.
Yeah, that's going to be a fun one to watch, and they're probably the only group that even has that kind of connection. Really, I didn't see it yet, but I know of the show from YouTube. You
know what? I'm glad you said that, because honestly, I only really perused the team. I didn't really get into great detail about all of them, so I'm on the same page as you. I'm excited to go through this list as much as you are.
Moving on to our second team, the Silver Lake Atom Splitters, led by Mark Baker. His team consists of the Iceman, Jesper Svensson, Tom Doherty, Chris Vi, Santu Tavanananananananana, and Richie Teese.
All right, so just for our viewers, now that I see the format here, when you see each team displayed, the top 3 names were the 3 saves for that team.
There you go.
The only one that there'll be an exception on is, like we were unsure of last week, once we get to the Dallas Strikers, it has been confirmed that the PBA site was updated incorrectly.
They're coming for you, Oach.
Seriously. Who doesn't hit mute? What is he doing?
The meatloaf.
The only team that the top 3 won't be the originals is the Dallas Strikers, because it's confirmed that Norm Duke is not bowling this year. Are there any more helicopters?
Where's the meat?
Apparently, it's circling the house.
God, Jesus,
that was hilarious. All right. Anyways,
all right.
So Santu obviously was undrafted, or he was in the pool to be drafted, so he was picked up by the Adam Splitters as well as Richie Teese. I don't know a lot about Richie Teese, Johnny. I don't remember if you talked about him last week, but for those of you that may not be familiar with him, like I am, what do you know about Richie Teese?
Very traditional style, medium speed, medium revs, but a very, very good player, very, very good shot maker, and one hell of a team player. He's got a very good team presence on the lane. 3 of these guys are from over the pond, Jesper being from Sweden, Richie's from England, and I believe Santu is also from Sweden. I may be wrong, it may be Finland. And then you got a 2-hander and a no-thumber from the good old USA right smack there in the middle with TD and Chris Vi. Looking at this group, I don't see this group being as nearly as comfortable with each other.
Right, move the graphic so we can read the comments. I can't see anything. Come on.
I'm putting them on the screen.
We have the lineup, right? Or are we still? I'm sorry.
Yeah, we do have the line. It's hard to see the comments on the side of the screen because it's
Rob's
at least the front of them are covered.
So you can have your 1 inch of screen time. Where is he?
Steph's comment is cute there too, because that is true. It's Richie's the only one that has a thumb in the ball on this team, on the whole team.
Lonely is the thumb when you're throwing in the ball.
This is to me. Without sounding like a douche flute, this is not a team that I would pick to be in contention to win this year. And now these are all talented players. Santu coming off Rookie of the Year, Richie Teese, tour veteran now. He knows how to do it out there. Chris Vi, U.S. Open champion, Tom Doherty, world champion, and Jesper Svensson, TSC champion. This is obviously everybody on these lists. On these lists are going to be great players. This one is not on my top of the list thus far, because again, I look for chemistry and I look for relatability and I look for the ability to operate the lanes and break down the lanes together as a unit to best suit them for you as a whole in an event like this. So to me here, Richie Teese is going to run into trouble because every other righty on the lane will obviously be tearing up oil 10 times more than him, plus whatever team they're bowling. So I'm not really crazy about that one. Tom Doherty, a little bit softer ball speed because of the one hand on the ball, thumbless. I think that all of those guys create a little bit of a traffic for one another because Chris Vi is a very soft two-hander. Santu hits the shit out of it as a two-hander, and Tom Doherty's kind of like an above-average tweener cranker. And yes, we're all by himself on the other side. Obviously, he'll be fine, but I don't like them with each other, if that makes any sense to our viewers.
No, it does. I think they are in agreement with you, Sherry and Steph, and the great one agrees. Yeah. But he does say that Jesper and Doherty are a good one too. Yeah, they are.
And Sherry, I can read yours. I think Richie was a high roller last season. Whatever the red and white and black team was last year, because I don't think the Atom Splitters were always this color. I think they were more of a teal. But yeah, he was definitely, I believe, a high roller last year. I kind of remember him doing that weird, like, chest bump into the. Anyway, yeah, you're right.
Third team, The LAX Bolero.
Rob, can you move the graphic over just maybe?
No, Ocho, I cannot. It's not.
Then move us. The whole chat is gone. Nobody can see anything. Thanks to you.
Ocho, can't do it, buddy. It's the way the restream is. Literally can't.
It's okay.
Can't change anything.
I can see at least, like, I see Rich Kacharski just wrote something up.
I mean, I'm putting him on the screen. If you guys don't see him on the screen.
Yes, we'll make it work. We'll make it work. All right.
It's not like comments are just rolling in every 30 seconds. Like, it's just... anyway, we got Belmo, Buttriff, Stu Williams, Kevin McCune, and Thomas.
They're going to win.
Ocho predicts they're going to win.
I mean, that's a stud lineup, and I don't even know half these people. You don't even know. Actually, I do know.
Well, this team is deadly for reasons aside from the obvious. Thomas Larson, Kevin McCune, and Stu Williams can all play the exact same part of the lane. They may do it with different speed. They may do it with different trajectory, but they can all get it to the exact same spot, the exact same way if they want to. So they will all pave some kind of a trough where the only right-hander that really bangs on it, not saying that Stu and Kevin don't bang on it. Yes, we know Kevin can get in front of the ball return, but nobody is Belmo. So if Belmo's playing the fourth arrow and those other three guys are playing somewhere around the track, and then Jacob gets to feed off of that line of Belmo and play with the purple ball where he typically likes to play, this is going to be a tough son of a bitch team to get past right
So
here.
are they going to throw a little hold spot for Belmo basically by throwing in their area, in their track area? Is that what what your consensus is?
They're going to create hold for Jason, and they're going to maximize bump for Jason.
So he's going to have a forgiving area? Shit.
Yes, I can almost see like Stu starting with a Roto Grip Gem, Kevin McCune with an Innovator Solid, and Thomas Larson with like a Katana Strike. And I could see them going somewhere like, 13-7, and then Belmo just right out of the gate starts with like an Idle Cosmos playing the fourth arrow. I feel like that is a 100% an idea that could be in the heads. And even if Stu and Kevin tend to migrate somewhere between Larson and Belmo, the trough is still going to be so pronounced down lane that they're going to be a very workable team. This is a really, really good team right here.
I do want to ask Stephanie why she thinks Larson is a weird pick.
Well, real quick, I might even answer for her because if I had not mentioned what I mentioned earlier, he wasn't even there this year. And you got to remember, my dad's rationale for selecting Thomas 2 years ago was the fact that he won the Masters. So my dad felt that it was, or 2 years ago, my dad felt that it was strange to not take the Masters champion the year that they won it or not save him. But then again, due to unforeseen circumstances, he didn't bowl this year. So he was not even, luckily he was even on the points list to be honored to have a selection. Right. But if she hadn't heard that, I'm totally in agreement with, if you don't know that prematurely, if you don't know that, then of course it's a sloppy pick. It's a little bit of a confusing pick, I should say.
Right.
Not knocking his talent in any way, shape, or form, but just going by the numbers and what was produced by the players this year.
Stephanie says he's a strong player, but his credentials aren't what the rest of his team is. She was surprised with that pick, just based off relevancy and his year.
It's almost like trying to fit someone under the cap when you're league, and you got to bring that freaking
and like we said earlier, I'll message Steph and tell her the reason why he wasn't out there, just because I don't want to bark up the tree again. But yeah, that's definitely an understandable statement.
I mean, and for me,
Jeff,
it was more of a joke for why he's a weird pick. Well, we got to fit him under the cap. We know there's no cap. We know that it's just trying to create relevance there. Yeah. But hey, that's what my job is.
Yeah, and Jeff, that ball seems to be one of the solids that everybody likes. Typically, when solids come out, the guys that throw it a little bit straighter or softer ball speeds are not really huge fans of it. It's usually the higher rev guys like your son. But that ball seems to be effective for pretty much everybody that drills it. So anybody searching for a new big ASIM solid. Check out that Radical Innovator solid.
Is word getting out that I'm in the pool? Because we've had less comments just the last 2 weeks, and I'm a little worried, man.
Well, they're probably they're probably just not writing because they're staring at it.
Their screens are fogged up, clearly, because of how freaking bothered they is. I get it. Clearly. Men and women alike.
Earlier, Art in the chat said that it's a popularity contest, that's all. And it unfortunately is a mix of a popularity contest.
But the winners are the most popular too, so there's a kind of
and a personal preference contest.
True.
But then again, here's the thing is, and before we continue with the teams, it's also skewed because of the lack of selection possibilities. Like, for instance, when pro baseball players get selected, there's like a certain level of elite. There's like 700 something players in the major leagues. But there's an elite 100 players in baseball that everybody's really, really, really familiar with, the guys that are really sought after. But of the other 650, 625 guys that play in the major leagues, the pool that they are selected from is hundreds of thousands of players. So when we go into the MLB draft or we go into the NFL draft, it is always somewhat of a popularity contest. I mean, if you guys have never seen Draft Day, that's a perfect depiction of what popularity is. It's who has a deeper connection with the GM, who does the GM like what they do on and off of the field of play and all this other shit and yada, yada, yada. So in bowling, the popularity, unfortunately, does come into play just like any other sport, but it's on such a smaller scale that it's more pronounced. And bowlers, being the blue-collar, short of information people that we are as a whole, all we see is we say, oh, Justin Knowles got snubbed or this guy got snubbed. Yeah, Justin Knowles had the best season of his career. He's not a PBA champion, is he? Did Justin Knowles win this year?
And that's just of his career. Doesn't mean of.
Or did he just happen to have the best year of his life and somebody didn't pick him? Maybe they didn't pick Justin Knowles because in 5 months, the purple ball has even more rules on it. And quite frankly, nobody knew who Justin Knowles was 3 years ago on the PBA Tour. So why are you going to sit there and tell me that he got snubbed because he had the best year of his life? His best year of his life wasn't as good as Packy Hanrahan's this year. So Packy was obviously the more deserving of the two, whether you think he got snubbed or not. Now you could look at it the other way. You can say, how could you not take a two-handed lefty on the top of his game that's young and hungry? I get that side of the coin too. But it's popularity and what's perceived as what's going to be most beneficial to the coaches and the people helping the coaches make the decisions of who they want to choose to be on that team.
Moving on to the Chicago Breeze, led by Jason Couch, one of my favorite lefties of all time. His team consists of Dom Barrett, Tom Smallwood, that son of a bitch, Jake Peters, Kevin Williams,
man, leave him alone,
and Tomas Kako. What do you think about this team, Johnny?
This team has Dom Barrett, in my eyes, is top 10 player all time. So
big words, man. Big words.
Yeah, he is. Okay, I'll say top 20, but even though I believe top 10. Don't get him
started on Brad Miller. Why would you put that up, Rob? That's the one comment you should have left glossed over.
Ew, somebody picked Brad. Nah, we'll get to that in a little while. I'll save my spiel for that. For now, I got to put out the Smallwood flag because I love Tom, and I'm happy to see him on the team. Rob, I'm sorry you don't like him because a TV network decided to make a shitty sitcom and choose him and then completely make it nothing like Tom or his life. So I apologize. Jake Peters is the best.
That was perfect.
Jake Peters is the best human being on the PBA Tour. Never want anything but the best from Jake. He was a successful all-star at Wichita State. And congratulations to Jake on his performance at the League Bowler Championships. Going down next to line, Kevin Williams, probably one of the best teammates any team could ask for. He's bubbly, he's fun, he's electric, he plays to the crowd, and he never has a bad thing to say about anybody, despite all the crap that people have given him in the early stages of his career, but because he chooses to be different, fun, not give a shit what people say, and pursue any career that he chooses, including rap music. So kudos to Kevin Williams. And Tomas Kaika, to me, is like literally the epitome of watching paint dry. I know he's good. I know he had a great year. I appreciate his talent, but I can't stand, like, if you go back and watch Millie Ignizio throw a bowling ball back in the 70s, Millie Ignizio's ball went through the pins like somebody, like you would expect Millie Ignizio's ball to go through the pins. It looked like it was almost going through the pins in slow motion. And when I watched Tomas Kaika bowl, I literally, it takes almost 2 seconds for his ball to get off the pin deck once it hits the head pin. And it's very upsetting to me to watch him bowl, even though I think he's talented. So I'm going to give this team a 7.5 out of 10 because Jake, Dom, and Kevin are so strong. Smalls is always clean. He's always close to the hole. And Tomas, same thing. So I still think these guys are a 7.5 out of 10. Good team. I would put them ahead of the Atom Splitters, but I still got them way behind the Kingpins.
Shout out to PBA 50 champion Troy Lint in the house. Apologize for being late. Don't
apologize. Thank you for being here.
You're
Troy.
a fucking champion. You don't ever apologize for anything except being fucking awesome.
We are thankful that you're here as always.
Yes, thank you very much.
You better stop. You're embarrassing him now.
He's so humble. Moving on to our next team is the Motown Muscle, led by Del Ballard Jr. His team consists of E.J. Tackett, one of the greatest bowlers in the world right now, Anthony Simonson, right on the same level, Mitch Hoope, Sam Cooley, and Nathan Bauer.
Their logo should be Ocho with a Detroit Tigers cap on with a big double.
Oh, I like it.
That's true. That's good.
That's a good idea.
Marketing genius here. Viagra vaginas. That was my first one. Legends and Ladies was the Viagra and the vaginas. I came up with it, and they didn't like it.
Yes,
and
that is
so
right.
So much money could have been made.
Steph thinks this is one of the strongest teams in the league. Top two, maybe, but you're going to have to educate me a little bit, son.
The top two people are probably going to carry it, so she's not wrong.
All right. Here we go.
Let's do this.
No doubt, EJ and Simo, they make up the other two jewels of the triple crown of bowlers on the tour right now. I like Mitch Hoope as a bowler. That's all I got from
Not
Mitch
as a
Hoope.
person?
I like him as I've never spoken to him. He looks like a nice guy. He's very unassuming, very quiet, but he's seemingly nice, and he's a good bowler. Sam Cooley, I could watch Sam bowl all day. He is an absolute pleasure to watch bowl.
Well, apparently skiers think he looks like a serial killer, so
yeah, I don't disagree with that. And then
wasn't Cooley the nice
Nathan,
guy? Wasn't he the really, or am I messing that up?
CW, what up, buddy?
Cooley's the one that's bald head, beard.
Oh, I don't know. No,
really
never mind. Wrong guy. Okay, God.
Looks like me. It looks like me.
Oh, shit.
And then you got Nathan Bohr, who had a couple of seriously good bowling performances this year. And I know Nathan's a tour veteran, has not made a lot of shows. Nathan was very much a surprise pick to me this year. I'm not surprised Hoope went. I'm certainly not surprised Cooley went. But I am certainly surprised that Nathan went after all this time. So I would like to believe that EJ and Anthony can carry Mitch and Nathan in a certain respect, that Sam Cooley could always hold his own. But again, for me, this team's a little messy. It's you have the highest rev-rated single-handed guy on tour. You have this one of the best two-handers on tour. Then you have a smooth stroking righty, a cranking righty, and a really, really smooth righty. Now remember, these guys are bowling on like old school SPL, HPL lane surface in Portland, Maine. And the thing that happens there is a lot of times the back ends get funky. So the straight guys actually hold up the big crank guys a lot more often in that building. So this one is, like I said, I'm not sold on this team. I like the team. I like the bowlers on it, but I'm not sold on this one. Still, so far to me, the number one team to look at so far that we've gone through is the Kingpins.
Thomas Brodowski says, I'd like my grandkids to listen only if the cursing ends.
I appreciate that, Tom. Let's go to the next team.
No, I was trying to be nice. Moving on to
I was nice.
the next team. The wonderful Waco Wonders, led by the man, Johnny Petraglia. His team consists of PB3, BJ Moore, fantastic name, Jason Sterner, Ryan Simonelli, and Frank Snodgrass.
Okay, so Parker is one of the few old guys that doesn't get old. So I don't care if Parker's pushing 60 or whatever he is.
I seriously want to see an X-ray of his because I bet you like arthritis is impervious to him. Seriously, it's not right.
Absolutely, yeah. He's
he's probably got the hip of a 24-year-old. He's an anomaly, and there's something I can make on this.
I have the perfect analogy. He is the Chuck Norris of bowling.
Yeah, it's really like even Walter Ray went through that period in his early 60s where his swing got a little bit further away from his body than normal. You could see his follow through was a little bit shorter. Nothing like that has happened to Parker.
And honestly, it's all the knee there too, because Parker's knee is still at the same spot, man. That's the thing. That's how you can tell when they start, cooking the ball. Walter Ray, he bends forward, but his knee doesn't bend as much. And that's the difference, man. And the fact that he can get down like that still with it, it's insane. And we should do this one day. Superimpose one from 89 and freaking 2020. Just for shits and giggles.
You won't see much of a difference. That's for sure. And the only thing you'll see different in Parker's game is his follow through used to bend after he released it, and he used to kind of bring it back
now
past
he kind
his
of
ear.
straight arms it because he
and now he kind of straight arms it. That's about it.
But he brought back the stash, so there's points for that.
Yeah. We'll go to Sherry's question here and go to the fourth bowler down in Ryan Simonelli. If I had to guess, Sherry, because I had nothing to do with my dad's selections, I will tell you that Ryan and I bowling together. He was my old PBA tour roommate. Ryan's first PBA contract on tour was with DV8. So DV8, one of the branches and brands of Brunswick, was released to the public in 2011. So Ryan was one of the first staffers to officially join. He had made telecasts with different equipment prior to that, i.e. the World Series of Bowling when he made the show throwing the Storm Natural. He won the Earl Anthony Dublin Classic throwing a world beater from Columbia before it was a Brunswick brand. But Ryan and I, again, being big hook Northeast left-handers, and obviously Ryan being affiliated with a Brunswick brand, and there's always been the chemistry and like we've always said, the family orientedness of the brands of Brunswick. And Parker was always one of Ryan's idols and coaches and mentors, especially in his younger years on tour. So just having the
Jersey connection, right?
Yeah, and Ryan quit the tour and then missed the tour and came back and is trying his ass off to win again. And Ryan is just a fiery, awesome competitor.
Yeah.
So
I've always liked him. He's a good kid.
Plus, his left arm is 10 times the size of his right, which I just freaking love. I freaking love that.
Stephanie is shocked that your dad let Walter Ray go. She would have put up her house. The good thing you didn't put your house up on that.
Yeah, like we said at the top of the show, I was shocked about Walter the same way I was shocked that CDB let go of Pete. It was two very, very shocking people to imagine not being in the PBA League. Going on down the line, got to keep BJ Moore. I mean, he's absolutely electric. He's one of the best guys you'll ever meet, and there's no doubting his talent. Jason Sterner, I know we didn't see much of him on television this year, but looking at Jason's, not only his entire career, but looking at what Jason's done on tour in these last 3 or 4 years, he's really, really come into his own. He's in a great, great place mentally, and he's been a long-time staple on both the Brooklyn Styles and now the Wonders with under the managerial or standards of my dad or whatever you want to say. And Frank Snodgrass, with the pool that was there, to tell you the truth, I didn't even look at his name until I looked at his name. And I went, oh, yeah, Frank came out like a bat out of hell earlier on in the year, made a show at a major. And And Frank looks like the kind of guy that will give more to any team he's on than any other guy that's in this competition. I feel like this is exactly where Frank wants to be in life. So, again, my ranking on this team, I'm not going to put them anywhere near the Kings. I still like the Kings. But I will tell you this right now, that if the left is good there and Parker and Ryan get in a spot where they have nothing but the nuts for the entire time, that's a very dangerous team. The only thing I will say about this team that I fear is if they force everybody to get way in. I think Sterner's ball roll is a little bit forward. It doesn't really make the corner as hard as the other guys that get into the fifth arrow. And BJ's speed is typically higher, and him as well. Also, I don't like him in front of the ball return as much as I do some other guys. So the Waco Wonders, in my eyes, lack a little bit of power, and I think that may hurt them. So I'm not 100% sure how I feel where they're going to land on the ladder.
All right, moving on to our next team, the greatest team in all of sports, the PBR Milwaukee Pounders, managed by Marshall Holman, the Golden Jew, led by Sean Rash, Dick Allen, AJ Chapman, SLS, and ALS, which is also a horrible disease, by the way. So.
Yes.
Oh, Joe, it's not funny. It's horrible disease.
You're awful. You're awful. You're just
awful. I'm horrible. Okay, Johnny, what do you think about the Milwaukee Pounders?
And Lou Gehrig.
I'm looking
on paper here, guys. This is the one that confuses me the most.
Okay.
I think both Lavery Spar brothers are sensational players. I think everybody on the PBA Tour is sensational, except I do think Brad Miller is mediocre. But aside from that, Sean and Anthony are good players. AJ Chapman's a good player.
That should be a shirt.
It should be. I think Brad Miller is mediocre.
Sean Rash is a PBA Hall of Famer. The best player on this team for this competition is Dick Allen. Dick Allen is the king of Bayside. He does everything right in that building.
Besides Zach Morris.
Yeah. I love seeing the brothers together. I think that adds for a little bit of camaraderie. What I do like about this team is, as much as I always used to bitch about Sean on here, Sean is an excellent, excellent team player, especially when Sean feels that he is the best player on the team, which by looking at this list, he 100% knows he's the best player on this team. So you have a manager with an attitude and personality like Marshall Holman, who wants nothing more than to be the best. That's not a knock. That's what every legend aspires to be. And you have Sean Rash, who also believes he's the best. So between the two of them, I think Sean Rash is actually going to coach this team more than Marshall Holman. And I think that as long as everybody else follows what Sean says on this team and Sean's method of attack is correct, this team has a very, very good chance to win, because you have double leadership in that respect. Right. If Sean doesn't get what he wants, then I think this team is going to flop early. And it's what sucks about it is I hope that Sean, being as smart as he is, and I hope that Dick Allen's look is as good as it has been in years past, I want to see Dick Allen at the bottom. What's up, Cheeks?
What up, Cheeks?
I want to see Dick Allen at the bottom and throwing the shots for the wheat, because, yeah. But the thing that really worries me about this team is none of these guys are like 100% lock fill frame bowlers. What I mean by that is spares. So once we get into the Baker games, there's a lot more names on this list that are more likely to miss makeable spares than any other team, and that includes Sean.
Yeah.
So if it comes down to a spare shooting contest, I think the Pounders are going to get pounded. And as long as Sean is able to take the reins of that team, I think he'll put the right people in the right places. But not really sold on this team either.
Moving on to your hometown team, the Las Vegas High Rollers, led by my favorite bowler of all time, Emleto Monicelli. He is captaining a team of Francois Lavoie, my cousin, Andrew Anderson, AJ Johnson, Matt Russo, and Ildemaro Ruiz Jr.
Disclaimer: Francois Lavoie is not related to Rob Francois at all. It was just a fun little joke, and that is defamation on Straight Up 5, and we will not have that.
That's hearsay.
Very, very good.
That's hearsay.
No, it was said.
I object. Hearsay.
Take it away, Johnny.
I like this team, actually, Johnny.
Tell me why, Rob.
Tell me why.
Well, Andrew Anderson obviously is a very capable bowler, as is my cousin, Francois Lavoie. I'm a big AJ Johnson fan. I like Matt Russo. I don't know who Ruiz is, but he's got a fucking cool name, so I like this team. They're all great bowlers.
I agree with you. They're all great bowlers, and they are all capable of doing pretty much anything.
That's another young team you got there, too. Right? Well, I don't know how old AJ, I mean, like young as far as tour.
I mean,
Roland agrees with me. Sleeper
I agree with you and Roland. This is a sleeper good team.
Roland.
This is and they're good because these are guys that are not. I don't want to say the other guys were one dimensional because nobody on tour is one dimensional. But these guys are like a different kind of two-dimensional. Like AJ Johnson can get in front of the ball return and win a PBA title, and he can also play 5.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Sperone got me with that one.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Does not like Popeyes.
Nice one, John.
Confirmed.
Lavoie can get anywhere on the lane. Andrew Anderson can get anywhere on the lane. Matt Russo can get anywhere, and so can Ildemaro. All of these guys can get anywhere on the lane. If they all mesh together the right way, they follow AJ's fire, they follow Andrew Anderson's positivity, they follow Matt Russo's relaxation, and they follow whatever Ildemaro is trying to say in Spanish, they're going to be perfectly fine. This is definitely a good – let's see what Sherry says. She likes this team because
of spare shooting potential, although AJ struggles with spare shooting.
AJ has struggled in the past, but yes, still a great spare shooter, as are all of these guys.
AJ was the best high school quarterback to ever play. Just ask Randy. He has to bring it up every show.
I struck out 11 batters in 6 innings in July 4th, 1984, 10-year-old All-Star, so I don't want to hear nothing. 39 years ago and a few weeks ago. Damn.
The great one thinks this is his number. It's his new number 2. So far,
yeah, this one's higher up on the ladder. I got these guys a little bit higher as well.
A little interested in this comment from Tony Cabrales. 5 people who have to bowl PTQs next year have made teams not good.
Yeah, well, then again, when you're only saving 30 tour players at the end, because there's 10 teams saving 3 guys.
Right.
When you go into the top 75 in points, it's no secret. We talk about it every single week on this show. You can put this one down. Yeah. Put this one down real quick.
Okay.
Sorry. You can. We go about this every single week. We're talking about the pinnacle of our sport, but the pinnacle of our sport is tiny. There aren't enough bowlers. There aren't enough. It's not like we're getting 500-600 entries at a tournament every week. We're getting 50, 60 guys in a PTQ, and there's only X amount of guys that make it on the points list.
Right.
So there's a shitload of guys in this competition that have to bowl PTQs. There's just not enough people to select from. But yeah, it is a shame it's like that. Okay, go ahead. What do you got next?
Next, we have the Dallas.
Tony, I love Knowles too. And when we're done with this, I was not talking against Justin. I was making sure people understood why he got snubbed. But go check it back in the earlier part of the show. All right, the strike is.
The strike is led by Norm Duke, Tommy Jones, Bill O'Neill, Matt Ogle, Sean Maldonado, and Chris Barnes. Can I say right off the top, this is a fairly old team.
Okay. What do you
you
can't
this? Say it.
Give me a 1 to 10 scale.
I mean, they're all talented.
Are good. Wait. 1 to 10 scale as far as old or good?
I want your...
No, seriously.
On how good they are, 1 to 10.
Oh, they're fantastic. But we were talking earlier about getting some of the fresh crop in there, and these guys aren't newbies anymore. This team is fairly old when you stack them up against the other teams in the league. That being said, there's nothing wrong with this team. I just don't know if they're going to be able to hold out.
So
that's just my opinion.
Okay.
When in Rome.
I'll tell you what I do not like about this team. First, I don't like that they do not have a lefty. I think that if the right is shitty, you're adding one additional one. But what I do love about this team is all of these guys are master magicians on the lanes. and all of these guys look out for one another in a team environment. Tommy Jones has probably mentored more than half the successful Pro Bowlers for the last 20 years on tour. Bill O'Neill is one of the best talents the tour has ever seen, and he finished off 2023 strong. Matt Ogle, we don't have to say anything else. Now a first-time official singles champion on the tour, has certainly paid his dues out there. Plus, he completes the duo of two-handers with Sean Maldonado, who certainly knows how to win on tour. And then you have one of the legends of our sport and one of the best to ever do it in Chris Barnes on the bottom there. This team is so stacked with bowling knowledge, bowling talent, bowling shot execution, steady brains, steady heads. This team is so fucking deadly to me. I do not see them losing.
Wow. That's a bold prediction.
This is like the Shohei Ohtani of teams to me. This is the guy that can hit for power, hit for 40-plus homers, can strike out 10 guys in a 9-inning game, that can run for speed. This is the guy. This is the team that kind of has every single weapon other than the lefty.
Other than lefty, yeah.
So this is my new number one.
Wow, new number one.
I may be showing favoritism to my age because Tommy's a decade older than me. Bill O'Neill's 5 years older than me. Matt's my age. Sean's my age. And Barney I grew up watching and wanting to emulate. So this is also like a childhood memories / college memories team for me.
True story. I agree with that. Our final team, all the way from Portland, Maine, the Portland Lumberjacks, led by Team Mac. His team consists of Wes Malott, Kyle Troop, good friend of the show, Chris Prather, the nicest guy in bowling, Graham Fah, and Arturo Quintero. I like this team as well. I think this team is going to be super, super strong. Just look at just look at them all, really. I mean, they're very good.
I love that Wes stayed. I'm so happy that the injuries did not prevent him from being on this team. He is Mr. Portland Lumberjacks.
Yes.
And you obviously, we don't have to say anything about Kyle Troop, and we don't have to say anything about Superman Chris Prather.
Right.
Personally, I think Graham Fah is one of the most underrated lefties to ever bowl. I think he is absolutely sensational. And like we depicted in last week's show or talked about last week's show, it turns out that Arturo did move to Portland, Maine.
Oh, good for him.
So he's been living there, and we kind of had a feeling he was going to be incorporated somehow, some way, and somewhere. And I think it would have been – this, again, goes back to the popularity contest that Art was talking about earlier. It would have been kind of shitty to have the only PBA pro that lives in Portland, Maine, not be on a team. So it would have been pretty shitty to leave Arturo off that list. Plus, he's had phenomenal performances in past PBA leagues. And he's a hard worker. So, again, this team is a little bit all over the map in the way they are on the lanes. Wes is kind of subdued. Kyle's a showman. Prather's a quiet assassin. Graham is silent as they come. And Arturo's hair is a different color every day. So I don't know how well they're going to mesh as a unit, but I think that this is obviously a great team. And anytime Tim Mack is managing you, your team is in contention to win.
Oh, absolutely agreed. Yes, absolutely agreed. In fact, he is going to be one of the people in our match of the week, which will be coming up here very shortly. This is my number 2 team. I think LAX is still the number 1, but I mean, look, anything can be played out on the lanes. You never know what's going to happen on any given Saturday or Sunday or whenever they're going to bowl. Overall, Johnny, strongest team, weakest team.
I don't want to go all the way back through them, but I think.
As a whole,
what did I say? I wasn't. As a whole, the strikers, the kingpins, and I would say these Lumberjacks are probably the top 3. I didn't think that I liked the Motown Muscle, and I didn't like the second team. I didn't like the Atom Splitters. Yeah. As a unit, I didn't like the Atom Splitters or the Muscle very much. But and then I kind of like the other teams, like the Rollers, the Wonders. They're kind of floating in the middle for me.
Moving on to in fact, that was, God, we had 2 weeks dedicated to the league. I mean, this is how cool of a concept it is. It's a very interesting and fun thing to watch.
Steph, I forgot that one.
Yes.
And
LAX are very, very strong. But it's a fun thing to watch. I'm looking forward to it. It starts in September, if I'm not...
Yeah, late September, like September 23rd or whatever.
Somewhere around there,
something along those lines.
Real quick, moving on to the PBA50, they announced that they're going to have the World Series of Bowling, which has been taking place since July 16th. We talked about Chris Barnes earlier. He actually shot 300 to lead qualifying at the Ballard Championship. This is a cool thing that the PBA did. We know they did it for the women as well, but to include the PBA 50 this year is a really, really cool thing. Belmo loved it. A lot of your top pros loved it as well. It just gives the senior league, another shot at a major. So
absolutely,
I really do like it. What have you noticed so far, Johnny, from what you've seen?
At the Senior Worlds, that they're it's nice to see that on each pattern, it's not the same guys every week. They seem to really you see a different batch of players, different batches of balls, and other than that, to tell you the truth, I've been kind of not watching this week. I had a tournament of my own out here that I competed in for 3 consecutive days, and getting shit situated around the house. I really haven't been watching, but I'll be sure to hop on tomorrow.
And I like the patterns, or I like the names of the tournaments as well. We got the Ballard Championship, we got the Monticelli Championship, obviously the Petraglia Championship. Some of the greatest bowlers of all time. The patterns are cool; they're different, and you got some of the top bowlers in the world on the PBA 50, including our own Troy Lint, who's bowling very well despite his freaking knee problem. Poor guy, man. I'm telling you, it's. I don't know how long it's going to hamper him. But
hi, Mom. Rob, she wants you to know tomorrow's the Omletto shot.
Thank you, Mom. I appreciate that. I have. Unfortunately, I haven't been watching either. I've been slammed at work, but I'm going to get on Bowl TV and make sure.
I think partially didn't watch it because I knew we were going to have to talk about the draft, and then after we found were you able to piece together a little something?
I did, yes, I do have the match of the week.
So we have a really, really great match of the week this year. It came from a slightly, what's the word here? I was floating above the clouds slightly last night, and I decided that I wanted to watch some old school World Team Challenge. And sure enough, I type in World Team Challenge, and the first show that comes on, when I tell you guys, 3 of these 3 teams, I can't wait. I hope you haven't seen it before. I hope this is your first time seeing it. This is just the best.
This is definitely going to be fun.
This is at Country Club Lanes in Baltimore, Maryland, Danny Wiseman's home bowling center.
Prime Sports. I don't remember Prime Sports at all. But I do remember Mrs. T's pierogies.
Oh, yeah. I would kill for some Mrs. T's pierogies.
I don't even know if they're around anymore.
They sure are. They still got them boxed in the freezer section, or at least they did in Youngstown, Ohio, before I moved here.
I'll have to check that out for sure. We have this dude and Earl Anthony.
Yeah, Jay Randolph. Sorry,
Randolph the Red. No,
Criminy.
So this is 1994, 95.
It says 94, 95. Based off the balls being thrown in the show, it's probably late 1994, heading into early 1995.
All right, so what do you know about this guy, Johnny?
So there was the gang in the Northeast Connecticut bowling area, and every time you said one of these names, there was always other names affiliated with it. So Mike Lickstein was always associated with Chris Viali, Chris Soule, Chris Rebstock. Norm Ginsburg. There was just this batch from New England of just sensational, awesome bowlers. And I always just remember Litch always screaming Soul by his last name and asking him to get him a soda mop hoss. Or Soul soda mop, Soul something this. Yeah. And the first time I ever saw Soul throw a bowling ball, my old roommate Dave O'Sullivan would say to me, I know this guy looks a little bit funky, but this guy's a hell of a bowler. And The first time I ever saw him bowl was where Chris Forey's pro shop is at Nutmeg Bowl in Fairfield. And so this is Chris Soule, one of the best amateurs of the time. He was deadly.
Is he throwing a fourth green quantum, does it look like?
No, they're bowling for the Columbia Cuda C's, so they're wearing the World Team Challenge shirts. My guess is he's throwing a Columbia Power Torque. I don't think it's a Jade Piranha C. I think that would have been a little bit later, but I'm pretty sure that this is a Power Torque for all of our viewers. I will be able to get most of these bowling balls throughout this little skit that Rob so graciously put together here for you guys.
A lefty that can crank it.
Yeah, and he hit it pretty good. And of course, JD pops in as we start the World Team.
What up, JD?
Any bowling fanatic knows who this guy is. Here's a very young version of former PBA Rookie of the Year Brad Angelo.
What's he about? Like,
and again, this is only the first match.
Yeah.
Wait, we're gonna gloss over Stephanie's comment that she was just being born. Like, that's really a dig at us. That's not nice.
That's fair. No, I mean, she's right.
I don't have a wrinkle, Stephanie. Look at me, damn it.
Johnny, can you guess this ball? It's blue or purple. I can't tell it.
I forgot what team this is.
The Silver Dollar Classic.
If I see, then I actually don't know what that is. I guess it could be. It could also be a Power Torque. Again, there weren't a lot of selections. Missed the headband left. Go. Oh. Yeah, that was. There was a lot of. There wasn't a lot of different back then. But yeah, it's.
True story.
I just always enjoy watching. So here is good old Chris Hayden. I've always teased him on this show saying, who would you rather watch, Jason Couch or Chris Hayden? But not knocking Chris Hayden. Obviously, was a great World Team Challenge competitor, former PBA champion.
That's pretty
and I'm
funny,
pretty sure he's throwing a Jade Piranha C, which that ball was spectacular. I never got to throw it, but it was amazing.
What a smooth move. Like a little John Gant kind of thing. Ron Gant.
Yeah, I like his style.
Please don't ever compare Chris Hayden to John Gant ever again.
Ron Gant, I said.
Oh, okay.
I love Ron
No,
Gant.
I did say John at first because do I have the right guy? He's a lefty.
Anybody in the chat that John Gant's a lefty, but he hit the shit out of it. This is the only guy on this show that I don't think I knew.
And they don't either because they don't have his name up on the screen.
But I do know that is a blue Omega, and this guy throws it great. And that's the ball I just gave to George Gohagen. And you guys got to remember, for anybody that's not familiar with the World Team Challenge, go watch them. They made them. They were short. They were ugly. They were just really, really dirty, awful patterns to bowl on. Typically, the qualifying average collectively for the team would be less than 210. And then in the Baker match play matches where they would bowl 9 matches, the typical Baker average was sub 205. So
the aforementioned Tim Mack that we spoke about earlier.
Yeah. So here's good old young Tim Mack. Unfortunately, he didn't strike very much on this show. But just looking at highlights of old school Tim Mack, there is.
From what you're saying, nobody struck too much apparently. With the way
and to give you an idea, the guys you're watching here are the best bowlers that were around back then. This guy, Dave Gwindon, that's getting back up. Anybody that's ever seen Dave Gwindon bowl will obviously pop in the chat and tell you how good Dave Gwindon was. Yeah. I never got the pleasure of watching this guy in person. I only got to watch him on these shows.
But if you're a bowling fan and you're watching, you're like, this is the best like Brunswick has to offer. Like these guys suck. I think it was like 180 to 160.
Well, it's not Brunswick. It's that Brunswick titled the whole event. These guys were bowlers.
Okay, I got it.
It was called the Brunswick World Team Challenge.
I got you. Okay. Well, that notwithstanding, the scores weren't very high during this whole thing.
And right around this time.
And you should watch some of the shows where you don't know the guys. Right. These are the best in the world on this show.
Johnny, right around this time was when the averages started to kind of because reactive came in around this time, I think.
Right.
So, is that when averages started to go and go and go?
This is a couple of years after the Excalibur recreated bowling. So now we've got piranhas, we've got zones, we've got quantums, we've got omegas, we've got the acrylium, this is that batch of bowling ball time period. Patrick Allen, I'm not 1,000% sure what he's throwing here. It might be a Columbia Pro Hook. JD would probably know more, but look at how thin and young Patrick Allen is, and look at how aggressive he is.
24 here.
Yeah. Now watch how aggressive he is at the bottom compared to what you guys remember from like vintage 2005 PA. Mouth always open still to
Always.
this guy.
Yeah.
Yep.
He covered a lot of boards there.
Obviously, everybody knows this guy.
This guy, yes.
Imagine being Doug Kent and not being Anchor.
And not being bald. At like 22
Come on,
years old.
Rob.
Come on. He's my age back then.
He's not your age back then.
He was.
Well, Dougie Fresh is only in his mid-50s now, right? So
Yeah, I don't know how old it is. I was like,
this is 30 years ago. So he can't be much older than 28, 29 here. If he's even in his late 50s at this point.
Chuck Pisano.
Yeah.
Who remembers this guy?
PBA Hall of Fame sports writer.
By the way, what great form about Doug Kent. Like he's like a modern David Ozio almost, even though he wasn't modern. But like, you know what I mean? Like just so simple. Like
you're 100%, dude.
Squared up and like just nothing, no extra parts moving.
The greatest hair in bowling at the time.
The greatest hair ever in bowling, Mr. Chris.
I used to bowl this guy a lot. Him and
That is definitely got to be a gold quake from Columbia. I'm laughing at what Steph said because Doug does look younger now than he did then. I always talk about this. Always. Even Brad Angelo looks younger now than he does on this show. And yep, confirmed that is a gold quake for sure.
Gold quake. Good job, guys. But man,
watch him rip through this for those of you who have not seen Chris bowl. And don't get fooled by all these guys not throwing a lot of strikes on this show. These guys
he was fantastic. He was fantastic. But
that's right, Rob. You definitely know all these guys.
Most of them. I bowled with Chris a lot and Litchy, out of Bradley and all that. And they were around. He was around for the Nebas and stuff like that too. So, very familiar with him. He was older than me at the time, but still a very, very good bowler and fantastic hair. And he can crank the shit out of it.
Here is the Chin, better known as the Chin, Mike Triniski, fluttering his chicken wings as he's about to throw it. There we go. But another solid bowler. Bowled
Don't say
on tour
chicken
for a
wings.
while.
Rob's gonna have a Popeyes moment. So
He just kind of like floated it out there.
He kind of just floats it a little. Yeah, he's always kind of been like that. Kind of, yeah, for sure.
That's how you stay in play, though, too, man. I mean, this is the new start of when all the the ball started doing all the work and the big red wiffle bat came out. Oh, here we go, food.
Mrs. T's, please.
I can smell the butter in the pan going on.
And the onions. Oh my god.
I had this shirt. I think we all did at the time, but I missed this Quantum shirt.
No.
So here is the first appearance of a Nitro R Square. This is Bob Goyke. From 1981 to 1991 was the ABC tournament's high average leader. So for a decade, he out-averaged everybody that bowled for the same 10 years at what's now the USBC Open Championships.
No kidding.
Yep. Yeah.
Look how hard
that man right there.
That's badass. Why does he?
Here's another guy that looks the same age now that he did 30 years ago. Steve Klemkin. This will be a black Omega, as they are bowling for Team Ebonite Omegas, or whatever they're called. I have to sneeze. I'm going to mute myself. Am I going to make it?
This is so 90s.
Klumpkin sounds like either an additive for food or a bad thing you do.
You're 100%. I have so much Klumpkin in my cinnamon toast crunch.
There's got to be. It's like triglycerides or something.
Nice shot there from.
Don't put Klumpkin in your.
And here's my old boss and good friend, 6'5", 260-pound monster, Johnny Gaines.
I'm already rooting for him.
When you look that big on television, you are fucking huge, man.
He should throw overhand.
Steph's making me laugh because everybody I see looks younger now, except maybe this guy.
Chris Barnes, yes. A very handsome Chris Barnes.
His hair's a little different.
Yeah, well, he had the best mullet at that time.
I'm not sure.
Mike, I'm not sure. We can probably rewind the tape and find out. I'm not sure if that was Mark McLean. It might be. I'm not 100% sure. I will check. Mike, I'll personally message me on Facebook, and I'll let you know after the show.
Personally, he will.
Not publicly.
And here's our Canadian national champion, Pan Am Games medalist, early 90s, and still awesome, fantastic bowler, Billy Rowe. But this show was so iconic to me because first off, they're all throwing bowling balls that I've personally either owned or wanted to own. And they're all guys that I looked up to at that time bowling. And I thought it was unfair to not bring back the memories of one of the greatest events bowling's ever seen in the World Team Challenge. And some of the best bowlers then, now comprised, and basically every guy we just saw is still involved with the game to some extent in some capacity. And a lot of them at very seriously high levels of the sport. So it's kind of a tribute to what, standing the test of time and what's the other term? Slow and steady winning the race can do for you. This is a lot of time and years put into this craft, and it's no wonder why these guys are still the ones that are still out there kicking ass week in and week out.
That was very fun to watch, Johnny. Thank you for that blast. Thank you.
Thank you for putting that little video together just so we can get a chance to see everybody once.
You are welcome, sir. Anything for you, my fine friend. Moving on to our final segment of the week.
It's time for everybody's favorite segment.
If you guys don't know how to use a seatbelt, just ring your call button and Tommy will come back there and hit you on the head with a tack hammer.
Lloyd, just when I think you couldn't possibly be any dumber.
Here's the imbecile of the week.
Some people are really stupid.
This week's imbecile of the week comes from our USBC Bowlers Discussion Forum on Facebook. I was reaching today. I was putting together that video for Johnny. I was doing Ocho some favors, and I had a lot of work to do today. But this week's imbecile of the week, Edward Mahagnol, wondering why scores are not getting published for the PBA 50 World Series of Bowling. Obviously, I don't have to go through the comments in that thread to let you know kind of what people said, but my boss does shit like this all the time. Like, he'll email me, hey, look up the mileage from this point to this point. And in the time he took to fucking email me to ask me to do it for him, he could have fucking Googled it and done it for himself. I'm probably going to get fired tomorrow, but that's fine.
He's not watching this show.
No, nobody watches the show. The time it took for this guy to post in a Facebook group, he could have looked for it himself, but he didn't know where to go for it. Apparently, he was on the PBA50 site, and everything with the schedule, and the site is very confusing, notwithstanding. Just fucking Google 2023 PBA50 World Series of Bowling scores or fucking results, or go to PBA.com.
Rob, maybe he was looking at a poster and doesn't even have the internet. Like, you got to understand, man, if they're looking at the old people bowling, then maybe they don't even have a Wi-Fi or a router or anything, man.
Then how did he
might have been looking at
Facebook?
the poster for the PBA50 World Series, and he's like, I'm looking at it, but I don't see the scores updating.
I know you're old. I mean, you're ageless and timeless, but I mean, you're still pretty old, Ocho.
Very much.
If he didn't have internet, he couldn't post on Facebook, for fuck's sake. So
his daughter posted with her phone under his name, and the last name. I mean, maybe they're. I don't know. Think about it. You got to context clues, Rob. Help the guy out. Maybe he's. I don't know. I'm trying to help the guy, but he's not a podcaster.
Well, what I said to Rob when he introduced this guy to me was, I kind of don't blame the guy because it's a bitch to find the scores. So I do get it, like what Rob's saying, like in the time it takes you to ask people on Facebook and the criticism you're going to get from people like us saying, you're a fucking moron, just do the research yourself. The guy's been like, I don't know how to.
Exactly.
He's doing.
He's Arnold Schwarzenegger.
But you got to click PBA, and then you got to click PBA50, and then you got to scroll down. You got to find the tournament. You got to click view details.
Dude,
then you got to find the scoring.
How many people know what those three little lines are? That means there's.
And then if you miss the live scoring before, say, the advancers round, and you click advancers round, it only shows you who advanced. It doesn't show you the scores that
Johnny,
they just pulled.
Let's play devil's advocate. All right, I'm gonna share my screen.
Cold outside.
We're gonna do a live Google feed, Google search. What the fuck was that?
I'm not quite sure what that was.
I don't know what that was.
Oh, Baxter.
All right, let's go to Google. Can everybody see this? There we go. All right. 2023 Hope my porn searches don't come up. PBA50 WSOB results. Okay, first result is the PBA.com.
See, you're already scrolling. You're already scrolling. That's
I'm scrolling. I'm scrolling. Look, we're doing a science experiment right now. Okay. Apparently, it's all leading to
lose in 5 minutes of you doing this. That's the science.
It's all leading to PBA.com. Well, I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm
you don't
trying
have to try, Rob. You know.
So stop. So just really quick, stop right here. Go back to the top. So I'm a person that's not familiar. By the way, JD, I shot 11 under and I lost by 10.
Before we go any further,
right here on this page, it doesn't say PBA 50 anywhere.
Correct.
So right then and there, this is why I'm saying the guy's kind of right.
Okay.
Until
you
now
scroll down.
Now you scroll down, and now you see live scoring with PBA 50 World Championship.
But if this is such a big thing, it should be like the main thing, right? So like when
like if
Sunday is going on, like Chargers scored a major touchdown, it's plastered in the front of ESPN. The World Series of Bowling is supposed to be huge for the PBA 50. It should be plastered on their main. I'm agreeing with you, JP, by the way. That's
right. So like now, for instance, that guy now clicks live scoring. He sees the leaders, and now all he's seeing is the advancers with their scores. He doesn't see the live scoring, the game-by-game scoring. It's not right there. The way to access it is you have to go back to the main PBA page first, then click PBA Tour, then click PBA 50+, find the tournament. There's a lot of steps.
You don't. I just found it right here, buddy.
So, no, what you don't have there is the scores. What you have is the standings. So now you go back and you click. That's just showing you the past standings.
Okay, gotcha.
So it's not a live feed to this guy. Now you have to make all those clicks from where you were just to get there.
It wasn't that many clicks.
Okay. I see both sides of the coin. I see both sides of the coin.
Nice. That's right. Look.
Thank God. Don't go back anymore. God knows what's before that.
You don't want to know. You don't want to know.
I think I already know. It's fine.
Animallove.com is on his homepage.
All right, so maybe
I don't know. I mean,
maybe Edward was not very technically savvy, like Dr. Ocho.
Figure it out for yourself. It's not rocket science. You don't have to ask people on social media unless you're just really fucking bored. Like if I get it. When somebody goes, does anybody know the best way to cook chicken on the grill? ? And go. And they write shit like that. Dude, if you're telling me and go on how to cook chicken,
you deserve to get flamed.
That's too much. I will deliberately tell you how to cook it incorrectly because I want you to fail. Like you can just type in chicken recipe and figure out how to. You could cook. Yeah. You could cook fucking foie gras if you want. All you got to do is Google it. Yeah. So
start fire
I get it.
Room. Second, leave living room.
Exactly.
Voila, chicken is cooked.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, comment of the night. Taryn pointed out Suzanne told JD eat a dick. So that's that's the comment of the night. That's
my B.
Very nice. Okay. Do we have anything else here?
No, it's going to be an exciting.
A good closing argument there.
Yeah, it's going to be a good PBA League year, and yeah, I'm about to eat dog.
I thought you were saying about the eat dick. I was just going to lose. Yeah,
no. Eat some dick.
It's shaped like it, but you know, all the best foods are.
Yes, absolutely right. Ocho, anything to say as you wrap it up from your pool? Are you getting the little fucking pretty fingers yet, or what's going on?
Eat a dick, Rob. Eat a dick. Thank you. Eat a dick.
Life is spinning out of control.
Okay, on that note, everybody, good night, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight.
At Rad Rob Gaming, at the Dr Ocho, or at Dr Ocho, at JPJR07. Don't worry, we never answer. Don't bother.
And we don't tweet.
We love you all. Well, I mean,
love you.
Not Sperone, but we love the rest of you. Good night, everybody. Thank you for joining us. See you next week. Oh, actually, no. Hold on. Let's programming update.
Brad Miller's mediocre.
Programming alert. I'm going on vacation next week. I'm going to Florida. I forgot
again.
to tell you guys.
Oh, lovely.
Vacation like a week ago.
Johnny, do I need to slide in your DMs and show you how to use this thing here?
That would be lovely.
Okay, we'll do that. Maybe.
Okay.
So I won't be here next week.
I
So
guess I'll have to find a celebrity guest to bring in.
Good show.
It's going to be me, Ocho, and somebody special next week.
I mean, you're going to need to fill my shoes.
Fill
So
your void.
I
need somebody that's
so
coherent, ready, willing, and awesome.
And shoes and
love of chicken, wears size 14 shoes. You know what they say about that?
We just need gravy. We could fill those shoes.
Big socks.
Huge socks. So I will not be here, but I'm sure Johnny and Ocho will flip a coin to see who's going to host.
Are you driving or flying?
Driving to Florida.
Nice. That's not
going
bad.
to see Taryn, actually. So
good. Enjoy yourself.
Yes. All right, guys. Until then, I'll see you guys in a couple of weeks. But Johnny and Ocho will be back here right next. Fuck. See, I'm already on vacation. I'm already checked out.
Thanks for stopping by, San Diego.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thanks for listening to this edition of Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. You can follow the show on Twitter at Straight Up 5 Pod. Follow Johnny Jr. at JPJR07. Follow Rad Rob at Rad Rob Gaming. And follow Dr. Ocho at the Dr. Ocho. Got a question for Johnny? Send your questions to straightup5podcast@gmail.com. We'll see you next time for another edition of Straight Up 5 with Johnny Petraglia Jr. Right here on the Rad Rob Radio Network.
How to have fun anytime, anywhere. Step 1. Go to ChumbaCasino.com.
ChumbaCasino.com. Got it.
Step 2. Collect your welcome bonus.
Come to Papa welcome bonus.
Step 3. Play hundreds of casino-style games for free.
That's a lot of games. All for free?
Step 4. Unleash your excitement.
Chumba Casino has been delivering thrills for over a decade. So claim your free welcome bonus now and live the Chumba life. Visit ChumbaCasino.com.